Hi, welcome everyone to our third session of Survival is Profit series. My name is Azra and I will be your moderator for this session. Okay, thank you for joining us today. Let me remind you again a little bit on what our series is all about. Okay, the Survival is Profit series is partially created during this challenging time for us to be able to help all you business owners, especially SMEs, by sharing what we know as an industry experts, answer the questions you might have about the topic that we are discussing or any concerns that you have about your business. And most importantly, the objective of this series is to give you values and tools for you and your business to survive in this new climate. So these live sessions that we have been are conducted regularly in a series with different topic coverage and different speakers and panels. Speaking of which, our session today is a little bit different concept than we had the past two. We call this session today as a Fireside Chat session because we are presenting you 4 panels of speakers today, and these 4 experts that we have will be discussing and taking questions on the topic that we have selected, which is big data and the future of real estate. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce you to the 4 guests of honors that we have today. Our first speaker is none other than our founder and CEO of Pen Pages Trinity Group, Mr. Christopher Ng. Hi, Mr. Christopher. How are you?
Good to be here again.
Let me introduce the rest of our speakers for today first. Okay,
Sure.
Our second speaker is Dato Tan Cheng, a director of Geo Antara's property development. Okay, a little bit of background about Dato Tan Cheng. Dato Cheng has 24 years of experience in his field, has won many prestigious awards in his career, and his property enhancement activities include a few bungalow projects located in the prime area of Bangsar. So from rundown bungalows, he turned them into valuable properties worth millions of dollars in the market. Hi, Dato Cheng, how are you?
Hi,
Good,
Dato.
thank you. Hello, hi, Chris.
Thank you for being in the show.
Thank you for your invitation.
We introduce our third speaker of today. We have Mr. Jin-wy, COO of Bond Estate Sdn Bhd. Okay, a little bit of big background on Mr. Jin-wy. He is in a real estate.
I think Azar freeze, some technical issue. All right. I think there's some technical side on Azra. So I think Dato and Jin-wy from Bond Estate, I think you've already been introduced. Let's introduce the next speaker as well, Mr. Yong from Eureka AI.
Hello everyone. Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah. Let me continue to introduce who Jin-wy is first. All right. So Jin-wy is actually the COO of Bond Estates, and he has been covering all the sales activities to operations, and most of the marketing initiatives also is done by handled by Mr. Jin-wy. And of course, Yong here is the data guy, the data king. He's the managing director of Eureka, country managing director of Eureka AI. And he has been involved in many data-related strategies, from developing technologies, from telecommunication to consulting and to energy. And his career is includes data-driven innovation for international organizations. So he will be covering also how big data analytics can complement the real estate marketing, right? While we wait for Azra to come back in later, why don't we just let me explain a little bit on how this fire chat how we want it to be worked. So basically, we're going to utilize all these resources, right, that we have, and of course, Dato Tan, you have been also working with us in your digital marketing journey. Jin-wy from Dawn Estates also will be working closely on the digital marketing journey, and Yong also will be working very closely in terms of leveraging on all this data technology to help our clients pivot along the way. So today we are focusing more on the real estate segment, and you guys are like the key opinion leaders of the entire place. So of course, I'm really honored to have all of you here, and the most important part is our audience. Mostly they are from Malaysia, Pen Pages Trinity Group clients. They come from maybe all over the states, so from Penang, KL, JB, down south and East Coast. However, we also have clients and their communities tuning in from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, this is where one of our branches are, and Bangkok in Thailand, and Phnom Penh, Cambodia as well, some of them, but mostly this is for Malaysians. And during this kind of time, this Survival is Profit series is designed just to help people to educate and give insights and case studies and share to the community how together we can win this as a community. So thank you again so much for coming up. Right, Azra, are you back in?
Yes,
Azra,
I apologize.
I'll come back. No problem.
I got locked out just now. Okay, where did we left off?
So we are already all introduced. Yeah, so what's next now?
Okay, let me briefly introduce the agenda for today for our audience benefit. Okay, our session today, like I mentioned earlier, is a little bit different than the past sessions. We call this a Fireside Chat session because we have a panel of speakers today, and these 4 experts will be discussing among them on our topic of the day, which is big data and the future of real estate. So to our audiences, some of our speakers will be sharing with you some valuable information directly from Google data and stats. So stay tuned for that. We will also be taking questions from the audience. So any concerns or queries you have on today's topic and discussion, please submit them in the comment section. And our speakers will try to answer as many questions as possible. Okay, all right. Now that our audience is clear on our agenda today, I will pass over this to Mr. Christopher to kickstart the session, if you're ready.
Sure. Yep.
All right.
Let me share my screen and show you all some of the stats that Google has shared with us. So I would like to share a little bit on the entire trend. It's a little bit different compared that the normal statistics and normal data that we've been collecting throughout the years for real estate industry. Pre-MCO and post-MCO and now CMCO, definitely there's some differentiations. So let me zoom in a little bit on some stats. I won't bore you with too long of a session, just to let you all have a look of what are the main data that you can look at. So the current Q1 2020, you can see the growing query year on year in search engine has grew 4%. However, mostly of this data comes from mobile. So 67% of the queries come from mobile. That gives you an idea that mobile is the way to go. People are on the go, people need information fast. So it gives an idea of when you market or when you create content, it has to be also focusing on the mobile version, right? So it cannot be too many words. You have to be very strict to the point. And videos are one of the great consumption in terms of content. So you can see mobile, tablet, and computer. Of course, mobile is 67%. Computers are 32%. Tablets are a little bit there. So mobile first ads should be the direction moving forward for real estate. And of course, if you compare the entire trend, past 12 months, you can see queries has dropped in the search engine when the MCO announcement started, right? So mid of March, at the time, you can see it went down. dramatically, and it's one of the lowest dip in the whole many years. But of course, you see the market started to rebound since we're slowly going in, opening up, slowly going to controlled MCO. So you can see it's slowly bouncing up back already. And also is a part of the market, the reaction, because the fear now is still there. However, we can see many property developers and of course people who has really thought a lot of their pivot and transform their business, how they maneuver around, and mostly we can see a lot is going into content marketing. They have live workshop, live stream, they have virtual, they have so many, they have social media updates, they have tips on living. So many of this transformation is in this real estate. And of course, most real estate ads you can see is of course served in mobile. So when you look at the system of Google, they will try, when you place, let's say you want to put specific target audience of your development and you want to go into targeting this audience, Google will try to find in their algorithm, try to find the most relevant and the most suitable target audience that you want to target, and then they place it out. So from the statistic, you can see mostly is the ads are served on mobile. So the emphasis on mobile is very, very strong and very, very prominent here. And you can see for the past 4 years, the trend has always been consistent. Okay, July to October has always been what we call the peak of the season. I'm sure later if I ask Dato Tan and Mr. Jin-wy, they will also say that that's around that trend. You see, it's usually that. But however, now you see, after this whole pandemic, this trend we foresee will be changed. What are the data? We do not know yet. But it's important and parallel for all businesses, whether you're in the real estate or not, to be collecting all this data, to study all this data, and then later on see where are the right direction moving forward. So ultimately, it's about the consumer buying journey, right? The consumers are still the same. Means you target people to buy property, or target people to rent property, or target people to invest into property. So what is the consumer buying journey like? So you can see the standard buying journey, as I've shared in many of our other series, is about understanding the funnel, right? Are they aware of the particular brand or the property products, or are they in the consideration stage? Have they reached out to you? Have they actually understand or read about you? And then later on, when they're trying to make decisions, are you helping them to make decisions siding to you? So all these are standard marketing process, digital marketing processes, right? So I'll give you an example. This lady here searched for best places in Malaysia for vacation, right? And then you stumble upon, after that, go into display, I see banners around her, Malaysia top vacation spots. However, when she go into Facebook, now the system detects that she is looking for all these, places for vacations and all. So in Facebook, now it serves the sponsored articles showing them that, hey, actually there's this development, or in the countryside, or in the mountainside, or on the beach and all. These are great vacation places that you can look at, but it's to buy, not just to rent, or not just for a quick Airbnb. So then, but that is considered like a potential prospect. And then we see his whole buying journey. So later on, when the system pick up, we can also be able to target this lady's persona. Means if she is having this kind of method of searching and behavior, we can actually use specific, what we call lookalike audience targeting, and then target people who has that kind of affinity, search pattern, and what we call data points that we've been collecting. And of course, motivating her to visit those landing pages that we have. And then later on, she starts to go into the consideration stage. Research about your project, your brand, or maybe even the founders and the management, who are they like? Are they reliable or not? Anyone who are giving reviews, so she go into reviewing. Anyone give reviews, good reviews, bad reviews about you? What are their comments like? She starts to have that kind of judgment. That's what we call the zero moment of truth, right? So before she had the first moment of truth, connecting to your salesperson or come to your showroom, then they start to understand, oh, this is the brand persona, this is who they are. And of course, then later on, go into sending an inquiry to you. That is just a rough idea of how we study the consumer buying journey. To go into deeper is let's say example, in the marketing point of view, how much I'm going to spend to get this amount of people. So what we call a share of voice, right? So let's say example, if there is 750,000 quarterly real estate related keyword searches in the city. So if you want to be able to, whenever people are searching, you are there, your brand is there. But they might not click, right? People see the index information. They see this is the company that is available for this keyword. This is the search result. Not all of them will be clicking. So, but for you to be present there in the 750,000 quarterly searches, the price is 112,500. Let's say, yeah. Then, not all of them will click. So you see the funnel pushing them into the funnel. So only 22,500 of them click into your website. Okay. So if you take the 112,000 ringgit that you spend to get the 100% share of voice, you are actually paying $5 per website visit. You take 22,500 to divide, right? After that, not all of them will visit your website. Maybe they just stumble upon, or maybe they just click to have a look. Not all of them will actually give you their information or register online to show that they are interested, to want to go to the next step in the consideration stage. So let's say there's a certain percent there, 3%, you get 675 online registration. Out of this that is registered, not all of them will show up to your sales showroom, right? Some of them maybe just wanted information and compare and all. So this is the actual step we took from one of our clients last time, okay? So 67 showroom sales that is directly related. But the timeline here, it could be very different from developer to developer or the salespeople to a salesperson. Why? Because there's this sales process. It could be 45 days, it could be 60 days, it could be 90 days, some even take 120 days. Because this is not like a small item, right? Property. So it takes some time to convert or to actually push them from the awareness top funnel to the other funnel, which is the complete of the sales process. So this is a journey. But in order to push them and maneuver them, motivate them to move into different stages, you will need to be able to understand what is the whole buying journey all about. So of course, back then, before the MCO, you can see it's a longer process, okay? The consumer are being more patient at time. Now with so much noise, so much information online, you go online, you see there's so many live workshops, there's so many ads, there's so many content, everybody is coming out giving content. So back then it was people discover your product, search relevant information, then they establish interest, they research and review, and then they make the purchase or give the inquiry, right? Now it's accelerated. Content marketing, live stream, influencer marketing, ads, and all pushed to you. So you plant the seeds of interest. Once they're interested, straight away they will place an inquiry. It's a little bit shorter in terms of the buying journey nowadays, right? However, for real estate, is mainly still the same. Let's take the same stats of the previously that I shown. Still the same 750,000 quarterly searches. Now, instead of going through two more layers of stages, now it's straight away either it's website visits or let's say to your live show and then you pick it up in the comment, or is it virtual tours review, or straight away they want to talk to a consultant or a salesperson or a property agent, right? And then they want to have online booking. Now this online, everything online transaction. You book first, some even offer no very minimal deposit and things like that. So this is how it's transforming. This data is showing that. And of course, analytics is also a very important part. Whenever you use analytics to track where the traffic is coming from, what device they use, who are they, what are the data points, who are the persona of these people, then you analyze and redefine. But data has to be enough. It has to be accumulated, right? So of course, there are many methods that we use to collect all this data through landing pages, through social medias and all. However, later on, Mr. Yong here from Eureka AI will share how you can actually tap into grade D data already from telcos and all, right? So later you can see. But end of the day, what I want to emphasize is analytics will help you save a lot on campaigns. You don't have to blindly just blast out ads, do brand and spend so much, because you'll be very pinpoint to the right audience. Okay, I'll give you an example. So we have a client before that we've done this collecting all these analytics, and they have been putting a lot of billboards all around Malaysia. We tried to put a method to track these billboards. billboards, and we see that paired with all the people that converted from the top funnel to the bottom funnel, we start to see and realize that, hey, actually most of the people converted is around this vicinity, and the specific keyword that they search for, because the billboard had that unique keyword there. So when they search, we see around the area, this are the top converters. So from there, this client of ours, they pivot, they change. So they remove some of the billboards that is not within these top converter areas, and then place those budget into consolidating, focusing on those areas that been converting well. Example, right? So this is how analytics can help. Of course, you also have to innovate. You have to innovate the businesses. So today, later on, you can see how Bond Estates is innovating as well. Later, I'm sure Mr. Jin-wy here will share a little bit on how he is how he pivot the sales process of Bond Estates. And later on, of course, Dato Tan will be explaining on how he has been so enthusiastically pairing with so many of these online celebrities and influencers, people who and come around and focusing on helping the community, stay human during this kind of trial times, and how that actually transform his business to be able to continuously communicate and stay connected to his clients or prospects or even partners and agents, right? So ultimately, it's about understanding the framework. Digital marketing, you have to know the framework. So for us, we have a few phases of doing it. Of course, you need to discover, right? Like, interview, understand clients, understand the staff's point of view, understand the whole organization mission statements and all, and market survey, mix it with audits on all your digital assets. Then you start to define what is your brand state today, what is your unique selling point, who are the audience group that you want to target, and of course also I must study a little bit of the competitors, right? What they are doing and how they are doing. How can you differentiate yourself from the rest? Then you start to develop your entire strategy, right? What is the target audience? What phase, what time you want to target them? What are the value proposition? Gain creators, pain relievers, unique selling points. And then you create those content pillars and you splash a little bit of your personality and tone, and then only you select all your digital channels. So discover, define, develop. Then you move into understanding what model you want to use. Is it how proficient is your operation in terms of marketing? Is it the right designers that you're using, copywriters, right partners and all? And how are they, what is the communication methods like? The headcount, is it assigned to the right places? Budget and resources assigned to the right places or not? And of course, then you continue to optimize your content. See whether how market is reacting to specific content. There is no perfect content out there that can hook people, but there is always an improvement. So progression is always the number one focus, not perfection. And of course, production, digital ads, and last but not least, data analytics, social listening, collecting all this data wrangling, understanding all this, and then to conclude and to pivot and to continue this journey. So ultimately is to be able to understand the ecosphere. For real estate, there's many options there because there are parts and pieces of different potential audience in different channels, right? We have been using also race advertising back then before MCO. It worked well because it nudged people who are on the way to appointments and go there and suddenly go to your showroom to kill time. End up, they convert, There are many of these channels, right? But ultimately is to understand paid marketing is different from content marketing, but all of that has to be pushed to your landing pages. Nowadays, it could be your live workshops that you can get leads, or it could be your Zoom calls or your Google Hangouts or your Microsoft Teams and all, that you can really communicate with your clients directly, right? At end of the day, it's about the funnel, tracking each stage. Who is aware? Not all of them who is aware about you will consider. Not all who consider you will purchase. Not all who purchase from you will be your loyal customer. And not all who become your loyal customer can be your raving fans. So ultimately, is to create all these raving fans, right? We need to go on the data-driven digital marketing journey. So this is overall what I wanted to share. Of course, now I would like to go into asking maybe my panels here, like Dato and Mr. Jin-wy and Mr. Yong, right? So having said that, mobility is the way to go. And we also see that despite all the noise and internet in the internet world, so much of this content and data and sharing and friends, so much of this noise nowadays. Can you give us a little bit of, maybe Dato Tan, can you give us a little bit of an overview how real estate market has been changing since MCO and now? And I see also you've been actively transforming the business methods, and it's to let's say live events or webinars, and you help your community now, and even go up to the lifestyle, teaching them how the best lifestyle to stay human during this MCO. What was how can you share about your journey? How this transformation is and how it worked, and how was your experience like? Dato? Okay, maybe I move on. I think he has some hang here. Jin-wy from Bond Estates.
Yep.
Maybe you can share how have you been pivoting and transforming the business, because retail is the biggest hit, right? So nobody there to go to the showroom, nobody go and see the actual
Totally agree. I guess for us, from a property point of view, our gallery is a retail by itself. So it's like a shopping center, your shop lots, all these are all definitely affected greatly, and highly, very low traffic that people is going in. But in fact, actually, I prepared a slide. Do you think I can actually share it up here?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, can. Yeah. Maybe it's just something of, just a brief explanation. I'll just put it on full screen. Can everyone see my slide?
Yes, good.
Okay, great. So maybe just give a quick introduction of who Bond Estates are. I think some of the audience may not know who Bond Estates is, and then I'll move on to what we did. So basically, Bond Estates is actually a niche boutique developer in Kuala Lumpur. Our project is actually in Bangsar South. It's a $650 million project. Right now, we are currently about 90% sold, mainly local buyers, but our gallery is actually in Bangsar, right in front of Bangsar Shopping Center. So I'll just skip straight to the main topic assigned earlier: how digital marketing helps real estate industry. I think this question is a very, very big question. I think I'll be more humbled to say that what we did in Bond, and maybe it can relate to most of the audiences out in the market, whether it's a real estate audience or even if it's a normal SME audience as well. So what we did, pre-MCO, we were hoping that, actually things are actually picking up. Property market has picked up since end of 2019. And then after Chinese New Year, everyone was so happy that sales is coming in, we are converting and all. But come middle of March, I think, 15th of March or 14th of March, government announced MCO due to COVID and whatnot. So I think generally all walk-in traffics is definitely very cautious already. So maybe in a nutshell, what we did was actually we did 5 C's. We immediately increased communications. We also immediately increased content. We improved copywriting. We improved creative and also customer experience. So let me digress a little bit on what we're talking about in terms of what we did for our site here. We were generally doing typical social media, Facebook, Google, Instagram, these platforms. But we were not too aggressive on this point because I think we could still lure in walk-in traffics. But thereafter, after we announced of MCO, the first 1 month of that, week 1 to week 4 until middle of April, we was busy, the marketing team and the sales team and so were busy throwing ideas, trashing out ideas, how we can actually improve and capture audience. First audience is actually our internal stakeholders, our team. Second audience is actually our immediate buyers. I think that's very, very key for us to communicate with them. And third, of course, is public audience as well. So I think that's where we started to throw in some ideas of using whatever digital assets. So let me digress what digital assets are. Basically your renderings, your articles, your newsletters, or whatever small little content that you come across. I think things like this can be educational for the audience. Hence, it's recycle. Our team here, we actually practice this motto of create once, publish everywhere. So publish everywhere can be every platform and every channel. Every platform you use is like a shop. If your shop doesn't drive a traffic, I guess you're not going to get any traffic to come into your shop, so to speak, right? So this on the communications part and what we did. Another thing is that we did was actually virtual tour and video call.
Nice.
So what we have done, in fact, actually since day one, we actually had this facility, this tool to use. But unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, because we have our gallery, so people tend to come physical rather to go and see virtual. But for overseas buyers, Malaysians overseas or even foreigners in overseas, I think it was a very, very useful tool to just show them a quick glimpse of the show unit itself. So what you guys are seeing here today is actually still images. In fact, I can just switch my screen very quickly over to the actual virtual tour.
Yep.
Okay, I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can. It's an overview of the whole
Yes.
property, right?
Show unit, yes. So this show unit is exactly located in our Bangsa gallery right now. Of course, we focus a lot of experience. So hence, one of the 5 C's is actually customer experience. So some of our sales team, what they did was actually they went to do a video call and also did a walkthrough with the client. It's very different compared to recording a video, because if it's video, you can just fly through.
There's no interaction. I mean, he can choose where to go and when to go.
Yes.
He can
Yes.
it's like he's there actually in the whole showroom, right?
That's right. So this is a physical show unit. Basically, it's our private lobby. Coming through the main door, you can walk in straight to the living room, dry kitchen area. You can see I'll pen slowly so that everyone can see when it's loading. So during this time, we can also give either a phone call or a Zoom call or video call, and we can actually explain. So it's basically like a digital touring rather than a physical touring. But at least you can see, okay, I can visualize this table can fit about 8 packs. There I can fit a sofa, and I can even look on the floor to say, you guys are giving marble flooring, right? So things like this is quite interesting because it also allows you to also move in and zoom into the other rooms and sections. So this is
I
the
can see a
private
tower
area.
there, so it's like there's a real tower placed there.
Yeah. So it's a camera tower that's actually recording. So as I move into the private area where our bedrooms are, we have flexible layouts as well. And in a sense, some buyers want a different room, they can actually adjust it. And if not, they can leave it. So you can see the actual showroom itself. Yeah.
This is
Right,
wonderful
so-
how you all transform. How does that help in terms of the sales process? Because I think it helped a lot, right, during the MCO period when everybody did a few weeks.
Yes. Truth to be told, I think our property prices are starting from 1.8 million onwards. Any property per se, I don't think now is as easy as transacting on Lazada and Shopee. If you're buying a face mask, I think you can transact easily. The objective of doing this digital approach is mainly to keep them warm, active, communicated, and at the end of the day, once we have opened our gallery, then they can come to the gallery to see it physically and do a transaction, which we have. I think we were quite fortunate to transact quite a number of units right after we opened our gallery last week. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you have been maintaining and still continue the communication and maintain the freshness of the memories in terms of your community or your clients or even prospects. And once the CMCO was introduced, you can start to see them physically so you can transact. That's wonderful.
That's right.
Very cool.
That's right. So I'll just end my slides very quickly.
Thank you.
No
thank you, Jin-wy, for this information. I think it's very enlightening that we see, how you pivot and continuously have this kind of virtual. I think you can even scale better. Last time, maybe your sales guys can just have an appointment for 1 or 2 clients. Now you can actually one-to-many during this virtual tour, right? So that can also become a scalability part of things as well.
Correct.
Dato, you're back. Okay. So sorry. Dato, just now, sorry, the technical issues, right? So just wanted to welcome you back. Yeah, thank you, Dato, for being back. Let me continue. Okay. So Jin-wy, as you were saying just now, the tours.
So the tours is that I think it's a very catchy, it's interesting. We assume everyone can actually adapt to this kind of virtual tour. But very important is the audience whether are they susceptible or they accept technology so easily. So I think that's very important as well, where we need to qualify before we actually engage them on that.
Or maybe it can be educative, before the virtual starts, then you have to go through a few more rounds of explaining how to use it, how to see it and all, right? But definitely it's a new normal, right? This is how we are gonna move into the new normal.
Yes, agreed. I think that is one is the tool, second is the audience, and more importantly is the internal team as well to adopt the new norm.
Yeah.
How are you going to digitize yourself, on the
Yes,
new
yes.
norm as well? Yeah, I think
Yes,
these are
exactly.
the three pillars that has to coincide together before you can achieve something successful.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
coming back to Dato Tan, just now
Yeah.
you got cut off a little bit. So can I
That's
throw back the question again? Can you give us a
Yes.
little bit of overview of how the real estate market has been changing as well from your point of view? And I see that you've been doing a lot of different methods. You're one of the first who in this whole market who is doing live workshops and live events and live webinars, and you've been pairing up with celebrities and other datos and tanshis and all key opinion leaders in their field. Not just about property. I think you over cover lifestyles and how to stay human during this kind of MCO or tough times. Can you share a little bit of why you did it, what inspired you to do it, and how is it working out for you?
Right. Thank you very much, Chris. Well, first of all, when we first enter into this MCO, I think I would say at least 90% of the people actually got shocked, and
Yes.
that we didn't know what was going on, and then also that because all this new normal, and also mainly is the uncertainty of the future. So Kenneth and myself, my partner for Joe and Taras. So we were, for the first 3 days, we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Right? And then knowing Chris is really fantastic because earlier, he has been already helping us on doing some of the online marketing. So and then there were a few days that we didn't know exactly what to do. So you actually asked us, hey, so what you guys want to do, right? Yeah. And I would say at the time for the real estate market, all right, it was just a shock and everybody froze. Yeah. So, but the good thing was that the frozen time wasn't too long. So we actually contacted, many people in Hong Kong and then also in China where they actually had the prior experience, just probably 1 or 2 months earlier than us. So we kind of learned from there, and that was the first part. And my partner even actually got the 3 Sky Villa booking, even during the time.
Wow.
So that was very good, and that was some sort of encouraging. Very encouraging until we finally sit down. So after all the discovery and then all the data collections and everything, we thought that we got to do something. And so without much hesitation, without much experience, so we just dive right in. Together with Trendy, especially Christopher, and then also our IT group. And then at that time, we thought that we want to have a little bit of sensitivity towards the market because there are a lot of people actually suffering as a result of this, and then also financial. I would say majority of these people. So we started to roll out something that is how to help people with my own experience, of course, with some of people like Chuiling and then some of the celebrity who had actually worked at home for quite some time already. So with her sharing, and then so it kind of like settled in a lot of people's emotion. So that was pretty good. And then we actually hit a very good viewing rating.
Yeah, I think one live viewing was 18,000 and above, right?
So we went to 20,000. Yeah, and then so Kenneth and myself, we were like, oh my goodness, why? How do we do this, right? So that day we actually rolled out 3 presentations. So then we kind of know, whether the 11 o'clock is better or 1 p.m. and then 5 p.m. is actually the weakest, right? Yep. So, and then we continue to do that. And then at the same time, we didn't want to push. We were just like what you suggested, the customer journey, right? It was creating the experience and then the awareness. And at that time, I thought it was we were pretty shocked that, the amount of people that we actually reached out. So it was our first experience. And subsequently, so we did it on a weekly basis. So on the second week, we started to talk a little bit more about the property. And then on the third week, we realized that people already adjusted to all this uncertainty. And then they started to look into some of the opportunity. And the good thing was that at the same time, we also, I got in touch with a lot of my developer friends. They were actually selling, started from the third week onward. And then some of these agency, they were selling by hundreds. So those are mostly the more, I would say the first time buyer. I said, how do you guys do that? They sold by several hundred, during that lockdown period.
Wow.
And then some of the developer as well, and so on and so forth. And from then we actually became very, very confident. So what we did the last time during the first 2 session lockdown, so we maximize, the the exposure of our property, and then also everything that people commented, we try to satisfy that with good answers and everything. So as of the last week, we have done a lot of videos, to ensure that the foreign buyers can actually book online. So, and then just yesterday, and then just like what Chan has done, all right, that we also went did a virtual walkthrough of the 360-degree thing, because knowing that for the next 1 month, people it's hard for people to come in. Yeah. And with this, the result was that we also got feedback from America, from Korea. So that was very encouraging. And some information for some of you who wanted to invest out there, we are expecting an inflow of foreigners to come in, because I think many foreigners seize the opportunity, and then also probably the need of having a second or third property elsewhere, because this pandemic could come back in the future.
Yes, yeah. I think that is very parallel. I really like the way how you also just jump into it without knowing how, but slowly
Thanks to you.
Yeah, but it's a journey, right, Dato? Like you say, sometimes people are fearful not to start something new because they do not know what is behind. But they are the people who are daring enough or entrepreneur enough to just say, let's go in and we will find our way, right? That is how the differentiation between successful and not successful, right? And of course, I do like the point that you say, time and trend is also different. Now, after a while, you know that, let's say 11 is better or 3 is not, 5 p.m. is bad. You will know the trend as well. And trend changes throughout time as well. Pre-MCO, during MCO, C-MCO, also different, correct? But maintaining and having empathy of the community and your clients, your partners, your agents, your staffs is very important. I really like how Joe and Tara stay true to the fact that you are remaining human no matter what position, what you are selling or what solutions you're providing. You're remaining human and you continue to bring value to people regardless whether they're going to be your clients or not. I think that is a wonderful, that's a wonderful direction that you went to. Definitely.
Yeah, as a responsible citizen, I think that's important. Yes.
Yes. And in your opinion, how do you think that it will continue to change? Like now later on CMCO, government is predicting it might be open back, but many of these top gurus in the region saying that later just one wave or just one group of people, suddenly another wave again. And how until the vaccine is found or developed, we will always be in this social distancing and all. How do you think it will continue to affect your business, and how will you continue to pivot through?
Personally, I think our company, we are targeting on the third quarter. So we're going to take a more offensive mode already from the third quarter onward. And I will think that the property will come back to a little bit closer to normal, probably the first quarter next year. All right, so I think I'm quite optimistic about it. Or the latest will be by June next year, so which is the second quarter. That is the latest. And I think the good news that we want to look at now is probably everything slow down, and then it could probably go down a little bit more. And then we all would know that the only way in 2 or 3 months' time is up. So and also it's a very good time to actually take a more active role, and then also plan for the future. Future is in a very short future in the 2-3 months time.
Tactical, not so strategical, tactical like now. Right?
That's right. And the general market, I think what would move is that we can't. It's not fair to say that the property real estate is done, right? I don't think so, because there are a lot of property that are near the major transportation hub, all right, and life still go on, and I think they're still selling quite well. So it really depends on the location, and then of course the pricing. So a lot of developers that actually acted really quickly, just like Joe and Tara said, we acted really quickly on the pricing. And for Genting, that environment, we will think that the moment when Genting reopens, after this MCO, post MCO, everything will just come back pretty quickly. So now we are preparing. And then also at the same time, there are tons of people, all right, people that I know, and then also that apart from this marketing awareness and our branding, so we also have workshop that actually, we invite some of the experts to come in to help all the entrepreneurs. And what we realized was that there are still many entrepreneurs, many professionals are still sitting on stacks of cash. All right, so they are bargain hunters. So now for the real estate industry, so it really depends on how us and our real estate agents go and hunt down all these people. And this number of people are quite large. All right, this is we're talking about domestic. And Singapore, a lot more, and Hong Kong, China, a lot more. So I would say that for a selected market in this in the real estate, I think the market is still pretty promising. All right, it's just that you've got to really have a insight and how to find them out. And then the other thing is that because this is my fourth recession, I'm quite old already. When I was in school, and then until today. And I think that many very sharp, not the word shoot, right? Entrepreneurs, this is the real bargain hunting time. So just this morning, I was meeting with a big developer in town as well. They already started, hunting down some of the good projects already. So now for some of the investors, all right, I think this is the time that they really have to turn that mostly a negative emotion. It's all about emotion, right? Into a little bit more positive emotion. All right, and then just have the courage and just go and attack. I think they are going to make a lot of money out of this recession.
Yeah. I think definitely the money in the market is still there, right? Actually, technically speaking, it's more money injected. The government all putting money and all, stimulus and all, right? Technically speaking, the money is more. Just that the fear is there. People are holding cash. People are more cautious, right?
Yes.
But there are also some that is braver and they say that, hey, this is actually the best time to go in. Better than we
Absolutely.
get it now. Later when the market come in, demand is coming up, then supply is low, then hike up the price again. I think that's a very good observation. Thank you, Dato Tan, for your sharing. Well, now we move in a little bit on the data aspect, right? Yong, can you actually share a little bit on, because since you're in the master of this field, data, and I would say not to the data scientist level, but actually very much close among all of us here, one of the most data-driven person, and your experience, and of course, currently now Eureka AI has been also zooming in together, partnering with us to go into the real estate data. How can you share a little bit on how data would continue to be an essential piece of marketing or even product development for real estate and property developers?
Thanks, Chris. I think it's going to be very transformative. You think about it, data is the first thing, and second thing is about artificial intelligence. How do you apply AI technology to unlock the insight within the data itself? I've seen data and AI being very disruptive across the industries, and especially going to be in the property, or they call it prop tech nowadays, right? You talked about customer journey. So in the past, most people just look at mass marketing, but today with intelligence, you don't have to mass market, right? You don't have to go after the mass market. For example, you want to look for those bargain hunter that Dato talked about. You can actually analyze their usage behavior based on mobile data itself and go after them, right?
Yep.
You talked about the the individualized experience. Born Estate, Jin-wy talked about showroom. Now, this is actually based on real showroom, but think about it. If you know the interests of the individual, you know the persona, whether I'm a nature lover or I'm actually a frequent flyer, you could almost use virtual reality to turn it around. So when I visit the property itself, you sort of press the right button. So it is very individualized experience. And even with celebrity, you could talk about Justin Bieber against Maroon 5. I could be a fan of Maroon 5 rather than Justin Bieber. So you press the right button, you strike a better rapport with me, right? So that's essentially what it is. I just thought the best thing for me to do right now is just show you a little bit about how we're applying the data.
Yes, please.
Right? Okay. Can I have the presentation slide on the screen so I can just kind of walk through very quickly?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think emotions are important that we also capture, but data shows whether we are in the right direction, we are doing it right or correctly or not, isn't it?
Very much, especially now, because the behavior of the general public would change, before MCO, after MCO, and post MCO. For a lot of big advertisers, it is quite interesting to observe and monitor the changes, because if you know the behavior better, you stand a better chance to disrupt the market. Now, usually when it comes to a challenging time, it is an opportunity for everyone. So those who grasp the opportunity would turn out to be the leaders within the near future, and those who lose out of it, eventually we're just going to be losing out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sorry, do I have to do anything to share my screen, or this is being managed right now?
You can pull up your screen. Have you shared already?
I have shared already. I was just wondering how, okay, should I just,
there.
you know, can you guys see my screen? Okay.
Yes, now.
Brilliant. Okay. Sorry, I thought I was going to done in the back end, so my bad. Okay, so I guess just a very quick intro. I'll divide the presentation into 3 parts. One is who we are, and then we'll talk a little bit about the use cases, and I'll show you some real demos of how things are working today, right?
Sure.
So we are a startup, less than 3 years old. We're operating in about 10, 11 countries today. So what we do essentially is partnering with all the telcos, right? About 11 of them. So in Malaysia, we're working with Celcom, it's live, and potentially working with the rest of them very soon, right? So what we do here is, if you think about telco, it gives you a lot of different data. I'll come to data in a bit, right? I'd like to talk about the investors. So we're seeded by SoftBank, and we invested by Gobi, Home Credit, APs, and SG Innovate. These are all investors. We've raised about $30 million so far in our Series B funding, right, up to end of last year or so. And the team are very experienced. You have McKinsey country managing director being the CEO. You have the chief technology officer who used to report to Satya Nadella in Microsoft. And you have a lot of ex-WPP people who specialize in advertisement, right? This is really the team. And these are all the countries and areas that we're operating. And if you look at the left, we have all the partnership with different telcos, and these are all the customers we have to date, right? Now, I'm going to jump straight into the type of data you gather. Now, if you think about it, every one of the data companies today, whether it's Facebook, Google, they're collecting data about you and I, and they're trying to personalize the experience. So if you look at telco, these are our main partner. We partner with telco, we partner with the likes of MasterCard, where we have access to a lot of spend data. And I'll come to the privacy bit a bit later on. I guess a lot of people will have questions on that, right? So telco, they have a lot of data about how much you spend on your phone bills, what sort of device you're using, how long have you been with them, and do you change your device often? Your demographic, age group, gender, and so forth. And more interestingly is who do you call a lot? So if I call Chris a lot, right, then he would know that we are pretty close, although he wouldn't know the relationship. We could be brothers, it could be relatives, it could be business partners. And interest and location are probably the most valuable bits from the data itself. Interest essentially refers to things you do online. Every single app and website you visit is going to be classified. So they know if you're using Grab a lot, you're probably using it for food delivery or ride hailing. If you're using Lazada a lot, it's probably all about e-commerce. If you're using Skyscanner, then obviously you're planning for a trip and so on and so forth, right? Same goes to location. Unlike application, right? On a phone itself, unless you switch off your phone, your location is 24/7. And
scary, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not as scary because it's down to 100 meters sort of proximity and accuracy rather than they know exactly where you live. So if you go to a golf course today, they kind of know roughly you've been to a golf course over the weekends and so forth. You've been to a hospital, they would find out as well. But they don't really know exactly where do you live apart from the area itself, right? I mean, for example, I lived in Mont Chiara, so they kind of know where it is, but they wouldn't know my actual address, my unit number, and my floor, right? But what is interesting about location is think about property. For the case of property, you could then track anyone who's been to your showroom or any other showrooms that you like to track, the property development, showroom, or otherwise you could look at advertisement, the billboards. You can actually see, the footfall traffic for every one of the billboards, how often people pass by, and you can then measure the attribution, how many times they have to see the advertisement before they walk in and visit the showroom. And going back to interest, the same thing. If they've been browsing your campaign, your landing page, or otherwise they've been browsing anything that's similar, your competitors, if you like, you could then, really classify them and eventually engage them. I'll talk about engagement in a bit, right? So now, the more important thing that I want to talk about is privacy and GDPR compliance, because we operate in all countries. We operate in European countries as well, who has the strictest compliance when it comes to privacy. So none of this data that we have is accessible from our database where you can see the name or addresses or phone numbers. Everything is going to be tokenized in a sense. So instead of looking at Yong, my phone number is going to be Mr. XYZ123, and these are all the behavior. when it comes to behavior analysis, we don't portray the individual behavior itself.
Information. You only have the demographics and
that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So we look at the aggregated view. So for example, we could say your top 10% visitors to your landing page or any landing page consists of people with selected behavior. They could be frequent flyers that fly to Southeast Asia countries more than twice a month, those sort of things. And this will cover a group of 20 to 30 users at least, rather than 2 or 3 users where it becomes PII, personal identifiable information. So that's what we do. In fact, if you think about Google and Facebook, no one wants to know your privacy and identity, but everyone will analyze your behavior to try to give you a more individualized experience. So that's that. Happy to answer any questions later on. Now, I'm going to move on to some example here. We had what we call pinpoint intelligence, really a mobility intelligence. And this is essentially looking at gunting, if you can see. So by looking at the traffic itself, you could look at, the daily average traffic from a weekdays, weekend perspective, and what is the total number of users. You could look at the age and gender, and how many of them are coming from overseas, right? And you can also do a more advanced profile, look at the prospective customer, those who have been visiting your websites, your landing page, otherwise visiting your showroom. And more interestingly, because we have access to lots of other data, you could then do a better segmentation of, are these golfers? Are these, this gunting? You could say they are, gamblers is a bad name. I guess they are entertainers, or, they love entertainment, or otherwise they love to go, tracking around gunting. So not everyone goes to gunting for gambling nowadays, right? I think a lot of us go there for just, good weather and different reasons, or even restaurants.
There's theme park, there's strawberries, there's so many
precisely
outlets.
Yeah. So those are the things, right? Then again, because of the location data, you could look at evening resting data and day resting data to find out where the location is. We don't have to go down to the individual address itself, but like the example Chris shown early on, we can find out whether the person lived in Mont Kiara or Bandar Utama or so on and so forth, and what location as well, because if you track the location between sort of 9 to 6, it is most likely the work location. And then if you want to look at visits to the showroom or otherwise passing by selected billboards, you have a lot more on mobility patterns of, how frequent do they pass by, when do they pass by, and so on and so forth. And of course, you have more insights when it comes to behavioral patterns today, right? Because nowadays people don't travel a lot because of lockdown, but things may change. And even if you're talking about a journey to Genting, people may stop by at golf courses, at restaurants, and so on and so forth, right? So it gives you a lot more intelligence. And this is where AI is going to be very useful from generating leads and quality leads. And at the same time, if you know your customers better, you could tailor-make the product itself from, maybe an interior design perspective, or otherwise, how do you craft out different messages to build a stronger rapport with your prospect, right? Now, the other example here is really, we have detailed report by specific site. If you want to measure the effectiveness of the advertisement, outdoor advertisement especially, you could look at the traffic. It's a bit small to see it here, but you can really see the traffic, on an hour-by-hour basis. You could also look at a heat map of where your prospective customers are located. So you could target them more effectively. If you want to place an ads, outdoor ads especially, you kind of want to know where they are, right? So we have the hourly stats by point of interest. POI stands for point of interest. Billboards or otherwise your showroom. You could see the heat map of prospective buyers. You could look at, how far they travel from home. So most of the time you buy a property is either going to be close to your work location, home location, or otherwise your preferred weekend location, if you like. Right. Okay.
Sounds very extensive.
Yeah. Then the other thing you could want to analyze is, then again, within the location itself, there's so many different point of interest, right? And it's very important when it comes to community development. So think about Mont Kiara, they have hospitals, they have some top schools around. You could find out what are the top 20, top 10, top 20 point of interest on a day-to-day basis, weekdays against weekends, what kind of customers are visiting those places. And last but not least is also risk intelligence. With telco data, we're also working with credit bureau to ascertain the exposure of risk. So in another word, you could almost use it to as a reference or inference of affordability. So people who has a pretty good credit score are usually more affordable. So you don't want to go out to mass market, especially if you're launching something that's premium, like Bond Estate, probably more than 1.8 million and above. So there's really no point to target people who couldn't really afford at all, right? So that's that. Okay.
I think it's great that you're showing all this, and it's also better that since we've been working together for quite some time. It's always good that we pair the telco data and all this intelligence with digital marketing, behavioral, and all the data they've been collecting through analytics and websites and social media, to have a very targeted segment, and we can push, like in terms of marketing, specific messages and specific interests to push people down the marketing funnel. I think Yong, a pairing like this is essential for marketing now, especially
right.
for real estate.
And hence the reason why I've been working with Chris and his team a lot, because we are an AI startup, and my capabilities lies around the AI technology. We work with the partners like telcos, Mastercards. We're also part of Microsoft startup program globally, and that's the specialty. We have no capability in terms of advertisement and digital marketing. Hence the reason I think the likes of Trinity Pen Pages would be a perfect partner for us, because we generate intelligence out of data itself. And nonetheless, the intelligence is not going to be actionable unless you work on it.
Yep.
And hence Chris' team would be a perfect pairing for us, perfect partner for us. Right? Yeah.
You're going to demo?
Yeah, I'm just going to switch over to the demo very quickly. I hope this is relevant and not too boring. Okay, so there's a lot of things I can talk about, but one of the things I'd like to show you guys is Pinpoint, which is mobility intelligence. So this is just a demo set rather than actual data, but this has been deployed in all the telcos we work with. So we have access to, as we speak today, probably about 1 billion subscribers globally, probably about 10 million or so in Malaysia, and hopefully we can increase to 20 or 30 million later on. So these are all the hexagon. The hexagon can be as big as 1 kilometer, or otherwise as small as 100 meters or so, right? And within the hexagon, you can look at the profile customers by age group, by gender. These are all customizable, because you look at the kind of phone they use, is a good indicator of well as well. If they're using the latest iPhone, probably they're quite well off. If they're using a 2G or feature phone, is either a second phone or they're not really wealthy. And home location is also another good indicator as well, right? Now, you can also look at the place of interest within the area and look at the most visited area. And this information on the top here, the number of mobile users, you could look at the mobile users who will last 1 hour, or you could actually look at last 1 month or so to find out what's the average, right? And on top of this, you could also overlay a pin to find out, on all the point of interest. It could be your showroom. It could be anything that you like to track, banks, or anything that you think is going to be interesting. So you could then just randomly pick one of them and say, this is M Bank. So you could look at the traffic, people visiting M Bank. This is based on last 1 hour. These are all fabricated, 309 users or so. You could look at the movement data to find out majority of people who went to M Bank, right? Where do they come from and where do they visit later on, right? So this could be essential for you guys when you look at, where are people traveling to your showroom? Do they pass by billboards? How often they pass by billboards? If those billboards are along the shopping malls, you could also find out how much they spend time on it, like dwell time and so on and so forth. And right after visiting a showroom or billboards, where do they go to? So the example could be, I live in Mont Kiara today. I've seen the billboards. I've been to one of showrooms, and then I can drop by one of shopping malls as well. So it tells you a lot more about myself. Otherwise, I go to the golf course. So chances are you may want to do something partnering with the golf course if you think that's going to be visible at all, right?
Yeah,
that's that.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, and there are many more things that I can talk about as well. But I think this is essentially what we do in a nutshell. We talked about credit score early on. We talked about market intelligence a bit. Market intelligence, don't really want to show it, because of time. But I guess what it does is, if you want to compare between the likes of Lazada against Shopee, you could look at the market penetration and growth. Same goes to different projects in selected proximity. You want to compare your number of visitors, footfall, visiting your showroom, physical showroom, or your virtual showroom. Market intelligence gives you the perfect insights of it. Right. So
thank you, Yong. I think it's very enlightening to see. And all these are real time, right? It's all these from Delco data. And of course, you will continue to, you can continue to feed in more data into the system. And you guys are the AI and the system guys, right? And that is the main part of it. And data we can always show you the what it is, but how you're going to use it and how you're going to deploy specific strategy based on those data is definitely more precise in terms of strategy.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Yong. So I think there's so many questions now that is packed into the live comments. We are actually live on YouTube and Facebook, and there's several questions that I think is directed to us. Why don't we just jump into it and take some of the questions out, right? Okay. Okay, let me, Stacy Huang says how we get the 750,000 quarterly real estate searches. That was a data that I showed previously. It's not the current one now. Let's say if you want 750,000, back then it was 112,000, 100% share of voice. You have to pay 112,500 ringgit to Google to buy those keywords. So in order for you to get 100% share of voice, that is the amount. Of course, then you track to the different stage. From there, they see the ads, do they click? How many of them visit your website? How many of them later on give you an inquiry? How many of them show up in your showroom or in your business premises? And later on, you can convert. And then later on, even how many of them become your loyal customers who buy more than one? So that is the whole process. So that I hope that answers your question, Stacy. Let's see what other thing we have. Hannah Mohammed says, saw the development by Bond Estates at Bangsa South and very interested in it. Do you have any upcoming development plans soon? Any upcoming plans now?
Sorry, a bit of marketing here. But yeah, I think we actually are planning for our second project at Mont Kiara. Nevertheless, existing Bond Estates or the estate projects still have some available units. So feel free to drop your contact, we'll get in touch.
All right. Another one coming up. Jordan Ip says, how do you see the current real estate outlook in Malaysia now? Maybe Dato, you want to take this?
Can you repeat the question again?
Jordan Ip says, how do you see the current real estate outlook in Malaysia now?
I would say for the next quarter will be remaining quite soft, or even the last quarter. So we really have to look at next year. Like what I said just now, there's only some of the selected key areas that is still pretty good. All right, and then also that it depends on, we are expecting an influx, I say, especially from China. They will be coming to Malaysia for some of the bargain hunters are coming.
Yeah, bargain hunters. Yeah.
Yes.
I hope Jordan the answer.
I think at the moment there are some very, very good property up for sale now, and also that I think is again coming back to emotion, because I realized that I have come across quite many real estate negotiators or the agents. They themselves are not very action driven, and then also they are quite pessimistic about some of the properties, which is actually I think is a wrong approach.
So I think have to be looking at the positive side, and of course also to fight collectively, if everybody fight this fear, that economy also will be better, right?
With the data, because a lot of data shows that we will rebound back pretty quick, and then we have very good fundamentals. So it's not a guessing thing, but when you look at the data and the numbers, actually it pointing us towards that directions.
Talking about data, Dato, like just now what Yong has shared all this data, how have Geo Antaras also use data, or even through experience or so many business that you're in? How have you been using data?
Because as an interior design consultant, so many times we actually use the data before we go into any design. So for example, like for Geo Antaras in Genting, right before we do anything, so we study the entire area, the whole consumer behavior, the buying pattern. And then whatever Yong shared just now was absolutely very, very helpful. If I were to have that, earlier, it would be much, much better. But nevertheless, I think Christopher did share with us. I think,
not too late.
from that, the data. So that, Yeah, and then also that I would say it helps us, in terms of the finishing, the design, and especially the pricing. So yeah, the pricing really helps.
Yep. All right. Let's take some more questions. There's so many. Let's hope I can attend to it. Jonathan Fong says, what digital marketing strategies would you recommend for real estate industry now? Which channel is most effective? Well, I think for my opinion is different channels have different audience there, right? It depends on your property or your development, your vision, who you want to help, who is your potential buyers, right? Like Dato Tan has mentioned, bargain guys, you have the you have the investment guys, you have people who wants to go and have a place in Genting and enjoy the lifestyle there. So there are different people, like compared to bond estates, they will be in the more the urban area in Bangsar South, and also it will be slightly little bit different. So depend on your target audience, then you choose the channel. I would say any channel will work well to target the specific channel. Let's say example, TikTok, very young crowd, right? YouTubers, okay, a little bit more elaborated content that they find. Facebook, now they call Facebook as the uncle auntie platform. All our nephews or nieces younger than us, they say, oh, that one by daddy, mommy there, I don't want to be there. Right? So there's Instagram, there's, email marketing now is coming back, I can see, because of the MCO. The open rate of every email is better, stronger, right? Because people have more time to be online. So last time you're on the go, you see, I just archive or delete. Right now, you spend some time and see if the header is interesting. So it depends, you see, what channel is effective. It depends on what type of business you're in, what type of developer are you, or what type of entrepreneur you are, and who your target audience are. And if you can find who your target audience are, then you need to select the channel. I would say the more the merrier, right? For branding, the more the merrier.
Chris, can I just add on just one line to that?
Yes.
Because from a data and AI perspective, I'll suggest you take an approach of a data-driven approach. So instead of deciding which channel is the best, what you could essentially do is do A/B testing. You could look at all channels, combine that with different kind of creatives, look at different segments, because you may assume that a particular segment may respond better to your campaign, but that may not be true sometimes. So you could do a lot of A/B testing very quickly nowadays with digital, right? So you could test it out before you even have your property showroom up and running. You could then test it out with different landing page potentially for different kind of customers, different channels as well, and see which one give you the best return. So you can then scale up on the channels that give you the best return.
Yeah, I think it's not like like a very straightforward kind of approach, right? To me, many people say it's scientific. Yes, there's a lot of science behind digital marketing. However, there's also the art behind it. How you, like what Dato Tan said, the emotional factor, the time and trend, it changes a long time. It's always hard to keep up, you see. But you need to be continuously in the system, continuously striving, knowing that this is your mission. These are the people that you want to help. These are the people that can find your properties or your developments suitable for them, and how are you going to communicate with them. I think that is ultimately the game plan here. Data will help you to specify, reduce the time of guessing and testing. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Let's see what other so many. Okay, Justin here say, I'm very interested in the kind of data shown in Google Analytics. How do I get that for my website? Well, actually, very simple. You just embed the code Google Analytics there, and you start to collect, right? But it takes time for your website. And then, of course, I would recommend you do some ads, and also that there's more people to come into your site. Then you study, right? Our consultant anytime also can help you. Later on, we have a worksheet. I think you can see in all of Survival is Profit series, we have this worksheet here, worksheet series 3, trinity42.com. You can see, you can use that worksheet, and then you can you can inform our consultant for free. We can help you out on that, no problem. Okay, what other questions? Let's see. Valerie says, what are some of the first steps you as a real estate company will take to recover your business after MCO? What are some of the first steps you as a real estate company will take to recover your business after MCO? Maybe Jin-wy, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure, can. Well, I think the first few steps is definitely to get our internal team ready with all the SOPs as well. I think that's the very first thing to get our team, whether it's office, whether it's the site, or whether it is even the gallery as well. So I think our first thing is the internal team. Second thing is, of course, to get the confidence out to the market, to the public, to the buyers, our updates, and also the gallery SOP procedures as well. So if you're talking about based on marketing-wise, I think the next step is continuously, like what you said, Chris. I think to strive towards the direction of the content and be in it for the long run, because I don't think there's any creative content that can just give you a home run.
No way.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think I also noticed as I was going through a lot of webinars online as well, I noticed that the content of educational content, I think can correlate to what Dato Tan has been doing with the human touch, responsible citizen approach, right? The educational content, I think this content is a long-term game where people are interested to learn. Truth to be told, I think even online classes has also shot up significantly. I personally took three classes as well already. So I think educational content definitely will help. Don't be too overly hard sell. I think eventually, if the people are keen, they will come and they'll make the rightful approach.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're
that has been my mantra, you know. I've been doing this mantra. Give. Later on, only ask. You see? Because when you give enough, because there's so much people trying to sell, you have to give first, you see. And if your products and your things are really good, you're not afraid that you're short of customers, because digital marketing just allows you to amplify it, that's all. Right? But you still have to stay true to your product, right?
True. I think we just continue to serve as best as we can without any conditions, and ultimately it will come in. Of course, it depends on how urgent you need the sale to come in as well. I think it's a different topic altogether. But I think the first step is internal confidence, external confidence, and continuously to strive with the content and re-innovate as well. I'm sure the audience there, they have certain posts up or they read certain articles, just continue to reuse it and reinforce.
I hope we answer your question, Valerie. Let's take on other questions here.
Can I to Chan? I thought that whatever Chan said, I totally agree with instill the confidence. And then I think for right now, because thanks to Trinity, that we actually have generated a lot of leads. All right, so I think it is like over 1,000 now. That what we need to do is that right now, immediately right after MCO, is move them to the studio, to the gallery already.
Yes. Put down the funnel, right?
I think that's the point that also can instill some good vibes into the market, into the real estate market.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's correct. What Dato Tan is saying is to create your what we call the customer list. I call it the data bank, right? And this data bank could be your community. People have shown interest before. It could be they don't buy now, they can buy later, or some sort of interest within your development. So you need to nurture them, talk to them, communicate with them. Later on, if they don't buy from you, they could be referring someone to buy from you. You know, so that's how it works, lah. Very good. Thank you, Dato, for your add-on. Let's see this. Eloy Shin Yuan Lai. Love the virtual tour concept. It is especially helpful during the period where we can't drive traffic to sales gallery. Are we able to embed this in website or send via WhatsApp? I think this is directed to Jin-wy.
Yes, you can definitely send it to WhatsApp, any email channel or communication, social media, you can do that as well. I don't think it's an issue because it's also on the browser. So yes. All
right, okay. There's another one here, Mr. Shan Mugan. Oops, hold on. Okay, Shan Mugan. All right, Mr. Shan Mugan asks, I'm curious to know how's the recent traffic to properties like in Genting Highland. Johor Antara is one of the development there. Maybe Dato Su Cheng can share a little. Like, how do you think the differentiation between properties in Genting and the rest? Because Genting is in a different area, right?
I think, all right, many people didn't know, especially in the Klang Valley, people didn't know that our backyard, which is how near we are to Genting Primai. Now, before the shutdown, we were enjoying huge success. All right, we're looking at about 25, 27, 28, up to 30 million people going up to Genting a year. So there's huge traffic going up there. Of course, until when Genting announced the shutdown, it is very quiet now. So it's a completely different scenario. And for our project, it's mainly based on that traffic. But we are very, very confident that in a matter of months, once this the lockdown of this 14 days quarantine, all this once is shut down, and when this thing come back, I would say, by September, October, I think it is gradually going to go up, especially when the of course everybody is anticipating of the Fox theme park.
Yep.
Once that is open, the whole Southeast Asia, 7 billion people will try to rush there. So so we are very, very optimistic about the property there.
Yep. I think during this kind of pandemic I think it's just a pause, and later on when it opens back, I think it was just catapult and crazy, right?
Yes,
definitely that's the case. All right, let's have another.
Sorry, there's another additional thing. I just got some information from Genting. All right, that they actually already have a lot of bookings. All right, for September, October, November, December already. So they expect the time is already open up. So people are already started to book right now.
Oh, wonderful news. These are what you say, the guys that can foresee and predicting the future rather than just wait and see, guys, right?
Maybe with the telco data, you can find out right away, who has been checking out, the Genting website, the traffic increase on Genting booking website itself, people passing by Genting or heading towards, Karak Highway and all this. The telco data will give you, deep insight into that. So you could look at day-to-day, week-on-week, month-on-month growth, and you can find out who are the first mover, venturing into Genting once the lockdown is being lifted, right? Yeah.
I think data also, that part is the most important part. All right, let's see. Yiling here asks, is asking me, Christopher, based on the data you shared just now, does that mean we should focus our digital marketing efforts more on mobile platforms? Well, I would say that it's not like you must pick one channel, you see. You can do all. But the data definitely shows that there's 67% mobile. People come to the consume content, go on the online through mobile. So yes, it's wiser if you have a limited budget. It's wiser to put more emphasis into mobile. Because how you say that? Like it's simple, like your website. Is it fully mobile optimized? You see, whether it's a lot of words and always your banners or your visuals is always a lot of words. People won't see it. People just want a simple visual, maybe just a header. That's it. You want to know more? Click into the caption. You have to understand the mobile journey, how people use the small screen here to put in to consume so much information. So this less is more. In mobile, very simple. Less is more, right? So I hope I answer your question, Yiling. Let's see others here. Tan Ki Gyap Tan. How do we collect this data? Does it comply with PDPA? I think that's Yong. I think you explained already, right, Yong? Maybe you can explain again.
So data, you can subscribe to them. You have access to such data today. The only thing is no one can give you the individual data. They could give you the, for example, we could give you an aggregated data of what is the daily average, weekly average, so on and so forth. We could also group them, cluster them into specific behavior or persona. These are the frequent travelers to Genting. This is about Genting example. Otherwise, are they students? Are they working professionals and so on and so forth? How often? But it's never going to be individual. But nonetheless, from the data itself, you can learn a fair bit about the different segment, and every segment would have different sort of preferences as well. It is up to you to define your own strategy. Which segment do you want to go after? How do you differentiate yourself from the rest as well? So data give you good insights about customers, where you can differentiate your service distinctively.
All right. I think since we are in the data subject, there's also other data questions here. Su N Lim says, Chua, are you able to identify non-overlapping segments by audience size?
Yes. Okay. So depending on what is the definition, right? Not non-overlapping. Okay, you can look at people who've been to your selected showroom, zoned by yourself, or campaign page. You could also look at people who've been to the competitors, and obviously you can look at people who've been to more than one, right? It could be 1, 3, 5, and you can learn quite a fair bit about behavior, because there are people who go visits every single property before they make a decision. There are people who have strong preference on selected brands and association to different developers. This is an example that we have learned from ride-hailing a lot, especially out of Malaysia. Malaysia, Grab monopolized that, but we have businesses in Indonesia and Thailand. We could see an overlap of people using, even in Malaysia as well, you could look at people who are using, Grab, My Car, and, e-hailing and so on and so forth. So you could see the overlap very clearly. And you can also look at the intensity of usage. So this will be no different for real estate as well. The intensity could be frequency of visits. It could be visits to other real estate websites, the likes of iProperty, Property Guru, and so on and so forth, and find out the correlation. So you could learn a fair bit about them once you start analyzing that. And you could also identify those who are new to you, who never been to your website, never been to your showroom. So that will be valuable.
Yep, thank you, Yong. I think there's a double question here from Su En Lim. I think there's another question here. How do you connect your consumer ID that forms the intelligence to Trinity's media buy?
Excellent. Very good question indeed. Okay, so telco would have the mean of accessing their subscriber base based on email and SMS, but SMS may not be the best medium when it comes to property. But every one of these subscribers will come with a couple of identity, right? Phone is being one of them, mobile phone is being one of them, which you can do a custom audience, on Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. And every one of the app used today comes with an ad ID as well. Now the ad ID will be unique for every single device, which means if you know the ad ID, you could then place an ad on social media or any web pages without exposing any information. And that ad ID is available by all the by all the telcos as well. So you could do that quite sort of easily.
Yeah, I may add as well. It is like we said, a journey. So the more we have multiple data from multiple channels, from telcos and from social media, then we pair it in, and then we try those ads, and then we see how it works. Of course, it's more targeted, more precise, right? But still, you have to have some time to understand it, and later on find that niche. I think there's many other questions here. There's this from John Chief. My question for property development. What are your views of saturated supply in Klang Valley? That's one question. Second, what are the responsibility for completed properties when transaction less than 20%? Oh, that's very technical. I'm not very sure what's the question. Maybe Dato or Jin-wy will understand that. What are responsibility for completed properties when transaction less than 20%? And third is rental market. What's your views? Maybe Dato, you want to take this?
Yeah. Okay. The rental market. Okay. I just need to speak. For Genting, I think once Genting, the entire resort comes back, so it's going to enjoy the very, very good rental that I actually used to enjoy in the past, from 8 to even as high as 15%. What I call it, ROI, right? Okay. So that's the yield that we're looking at. And then the rental market in KL, I think it will still remain strong, as I mentioned earlier just now, where you actually near the transportation hub, right? The smaller units. I think the rental market is still going to be quite good. And for the other general market, I have friends, right, who takes care of all the Airbnb. They're in a very, very big way. But because of the sudden lockdown, I think that one is going to take a long time to recover. So basically, the three markets.
So it's location first, lah. Important is location.
It's location and then the target market. And I think Yong's data here will be very, very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I may
just
comment on the point number one. What are your views of saturated supply? Yeah, I think most of the mainstream medias they are saying a lot of overhang, right? But I think before we talk about the big umbrella of overhang, we got to identify the data of where the overhangs are. Majority or actually a big supply of the overhang is actually in other states, in locations out of town where the price is low, but then it doesn't make sense for people within the income group to stay so far and pay for the transportation to come and work in the city. Yeah. So I think that is one, I think I would like to also clear it off, is that actually in terms of oversupply, that is also part of the factor as well. If you look at Yong's data, I'm sure he probably can provide you that information. But to answer directly, in terms of the saturated supply in Klang Valley, I think supply in Klang Valley is not saturated in that sense overall, mainly because you have a huge migration population coming in from outstation, right? And where is the better economy other than Kuala Lumpur and
Central, right?
Central. Yeah. So flocks of migrant outstation population is coming into this town here. So of course it depends on what is their appetite in terms of property, their conveniences, whether it's school, whether it's a place of worship, whether it's place of convenience or shopping. So I think those are things that plays a lot of factor. So that's just my 2 cents on this.
Definitely. So the question, the technical question, is what are responsibility for the completed properties when transaction is less than 20%? What does that mean? Do you all understand the question?
Don't think I can understand that.
Yeah, I think what she's trying to say is
those who are
less than transaction, less than 20% transaction.
Right. I think the responsible way is that number one, you have to sell really, really hard and push really hard. Okay, market more. Okay, to bring up the transaction. And then number two is either you sell the property, the project away, or to get in partner, or the third one is that you actually have to refund and then and shut down the project to be more responsible. Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
true. Okay, there's this question from Thomas W. Some real estate companies are pushing for sales now on FB, Facebook, saying it's the best time now to buy because of market price. For those with less financial stability, is this true?
You want me to take this, Dato? Okay. Well, I think Facebook is not only just selling real estate alone in terms of product. I think every product is selling right now. Face mask, hand sanitizer. I think that's
everything
as well. I'll answer the question whether this is the best time to buy. I think there's never a best time to buy. It all depends on your appetite and also what your needs are. Of course, there are times where developers generally are giving a more attractive offers as well, depending on the buyer's needs. So I would say there's never a best time. I would say that if you personally identify it's the best time to you, then don't sit and wait. Just go for it.
True.
And then experiencing a financial instability, no, you shouldn't be going for it. You shouldn't. Right, but there are many properties that I thought is very, very attractive, which is actually near to cost already. Look at the facilities that they're providing and then the finishes of each unit and the price they're selling, 600-700 ringgit per square foot, with semi-furnished and everything. I mean, I thought it's a real bargain. So if you can afford it now, I think it's a very good time to take it.
Totally agree.
All right. So let's take another, maybe last 3 more questions. I know there will be many questions here, but probably we'll take 3 more, and then later on, maybe we'll address it offline, right? So we'll be about 1.5 hours in the session already. So let's take 3 more. Audrey Wu asks, my business is different from real estate, not targeting end user or focus on B2B. How digital marketing can help? Well, you're in luck. Our next workshop session is specifically for B2B industrial customers, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is to understand digital marketing, the funnel is always the same. No matter what business you're in, mostly is the same. It's just that the channels could be different, your value proposition different, your products are different. But the ideology of using data, retarget, talk to the right people, communicating with the right people, your audience is still the same, right? So you have to just know your target audience, who uses the product, whether it's a B2B, C2C, doesn't matter. Then you use the right channels and use the data to see whether you can target them correctly. But if you want to know more in depth, stay tuned for the Survivor is Profit series next workshop, the next one, right? The next session is focusing on the B2B and industrial side. We have people from Alibaba, we have people from Google directly to share all those insights with you. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Audrey. Let's see. Oh, someone from Vietnam, sounds like Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam is okay. The data looks interesting. Is it limited to Malaysia market? Can we get similar data from Vietnam and Indonesia?
Okay,
Yong.
short answer is Indonesia, we are working with 2 telcos at least. Vietnam, we are trying to open up the Vietnam market right now actively, but it's not ready yet. So Malaysia and Indonesia are available today.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Let's see another last 2 lah. Okay, last 2 has so many. Last 2. Let's look at another Vietnamese. Is the data that you obtain from Malaysia real estate applicable if you want to use? Oh, it's the same question. Whether they can use the same data to Vietnam. All right. So the answer is not yet, but you can use digital marketing data instead of the telco data, right? You still can use social media. You can have Google Analytics embedded into your website. We can still help you with that. We have Wei Yin Tan. Do you foresee more overhang unsold properties in the next 2 quarters based on your experience and the sentiment in the market now? How long will it take for the appetite to recover pre-COVID-19? Or this one is asking for the crystal ball already, you know. Anyone of the sensei here want to take this question?
Yeah, my 2 cents would be, I think it really depends on location again. Okay, where we are now, you know, Mangsa, Damansara High or whatever, is very, very limited. So I think some of the outskirt property is going to, the overhang will be much longer.
I think that's definitely true. I think we've been explaining this much also. Location is one of it, whether it's centralized or not, and you know, some of it will be very tough to market. That's definitely right. All right, I think that's it for today. But of course, you all have many of these questions, guys. You all have many questions left. Please continue to put it in. Offline, we have our team, Dato Tan's team, Jin-wy's team, Yong's team, and my team will personally help you with that. The worksheet that you see on the comment section, right? You see the worksheet series 3.trinity42.com. Maybe we pull out the worksheet, Azra, and show them a little bit. So this worksheet helps you as a Trinity affiliated community to do some action, create some action plans, immediate action plans. So throughout the Survivor is Profit series before this, we found that this worksheet helped a lot of our audience to at least, you know, ask the right questions and all. So all you need to do is to fill up this worksheet and tell us what are the action plans from this workshop that you already got some ideas, or you need more info or need more data to make your decision. Fill that in, and of course they will be sent to all our panels here. If it's something that is got to do with property development or interior design, of course, Dato Tan can help, and Jin-wy can help. And in terms of data or analytics and all, Yong can help. If anything got to do with digital marketing as a whole, our team can help. Our consultants will be helping you to work out this action plan. So go through that worksheet. Won't take long time. And then figure out, see, how can I work this together? And it's free, right? Of course, if you want to do more in-depth, let's say I want to execute this digital marketing plan, or I want to get this data from Yong, or I want to maybe, you know, any inquiries of property, I say, hey, I want to have a virtual tour for Bond Estates, or I want to, you know, maybe learn more about the property in Genting, which is a good area now, waiting for Genting to open, example. Please put into the worksheet. We will help you out this couple of days. Feel free to do that. That's an extra benefit for the community that 10 Pages Trinity wants to support. All right. So mostly here, I thank all of you. Thank you, Dato Tan. Thank you, Mr. Jin-wy. Thank you, Mr. Yong, for your valuable time. I hope you all got some insights, or at least some workable action plans that you can try to apply in your business. It might not be from the real estate industry, but I'm sure the overall idea and concept of staying true to your community, staying true to your customers, to your prospects, to your team, I think it applies to whatever category that you're in. I think you need to continue to work together, leverage on resources with each other, partner each other, help and learn from each other. Everybody has specific skill set in your industry. Work together with your team, your friends, right? Open up, be more of an Android, like, you know? Just open up the Play Store, you know, put in the apps in. Doesn't work well, put it out, try another one. I think it's a process, and the new norm is to be able to continuously pivot, continuously transform, continuously move towards the goal, which is to give the best value to our customers. I think that is ultimately the game plan. Back to you, Azra.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Christopher, Mr. Jin-wy, Mr. Yong, and Dato Sucheng. Thank you for your time, for your insights. I'm sure that everybody who's listening right now learned a great deal today. To our audience today as well for joining and for participating. Thank you for all the questions. We tried to get to as many as we can today, but we ran out of time. So look forward to our next session, which will be announced via all our social platforms, either our social medias or our website or our newsletter as well. So I think that would be all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Selamat Hari Raya.
Bye, guys. Selamat Hari Raya.
Selamat Hari Raya.
All right, yeah.
Thanks.
Right.